make this crazy daisy bottle brush tree wreath. I have an 18-inch wreath, evergreen wreath form from Joann Fabrics, and then I have a bunch of bottle brush trees. Some are from the Dollar Tree, some are from a grocery store chain called Ruler. Some are probably from Dollar General, some are from Joann's, just a bunch of bottle brush trees, some from Amazon. But I'm starting out by putting my biggest trees in there, and I am hot gluing all over the base, sometimes putting a little hot glue like on the back of the tree, and then I'm also using the wire in the branches to kind of hold them in place. So I'm starting with my biggest trees, and then I'm kind of going back and forth from side to side to keep it balanced, and I'm also kind of trying to evenly distribute the different colors that I have available. So just hot glue on the base, on the back of the tree, and I'm kind of cramming them down in the wires. So, you can also go back when you're done with some pipe cleaners, and if you want to put some additional support in there, you could go and use pipe cleaners through the tree, like around, and then around the wreath to hold things solid. So I've got my biggest trees hot glued in there. I am using Gorilla Glue sticks. They're supposed to be the best ones, so that's what I'm using because I want this to hold up. So I've got my big trees in there, and then I'm moving on to my smaller trees and kind of cramming them in there. The point of this wreath is that it should look, it has to be overly full, I think, to work. I think that's the aesthetic we're going for, is that, more is more idea, getting everything attached and glued in there, and just the wreath should just look like it's, overflowing with trees. Okay, so big trees, medium trees going first, and then that's my big trees and medium trees attached. It already looks good. Okay, now we're going to move on to our bigger ornaments. So I have a little church, I have some white reindeer, I have some little houses, I have some snowmen, and I have some nutcrackers, and they're from Dollar General and Dollar Tree, but this could also just be ornaments from your stash. And before I started gluing, I kind of planned out where I wanted them to go. So I'm like cramming them kind of between the trees and then hot gluing them in place. And again, you can always go back with wire if you want to add some kind of extra attachment on there. Okay. And then we're going to move on to our smaller pieces. So I have some small ornaments, just some little drums, and they had a hanger on them that I just clipped off. So some tiny drums, those are definitely from Dollar Tree. I have some small ornaments from Hobby Lobby, and some pine cones from Dollar Tree. So these are just little doodads, little pieces, and you're going to just put those in every place you've got like an empty spot. So just hot glue and cram it in. That's King Louis XIV popping in there. So everywhere you have an empty space, glue up an ornament or a pine cone, a little drum, some little piece of flotsam and jetsam, and just cram it in there. You could also add, if you want to add some tiny flowers, I think that would look really cute. Tiny little doodads to fill in the empty spaces. And then the last thing I added, I had some small picks. I had some glittery leaves and some red berries. I had some very tiny trees, like an inch tall. So the last pass through there, I'm adding the very tiny things. Tiny, tiny trees, tiny leaves, tiny berries to fill everything out. And then everything is just hot glued in place. And then I hung it up on a command hook over my kitchen window. So loads of glue strings on it because there's a lot of hot glue. So I need to do some cleanup and kind of get the glue strings off of there. But there it is. Merry Christmas.